Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Shadow of the Colossus playthrough. It is time for our 14th Colossi, and we are really getting close to the end now. Like, we are so incredibly close. And we're about to head to what is easily one of the most aggressive Colossi in the game. Like, I think there's the statement here that Colossus, who was obviously the one that we defeated with fire, was the most aggressive, but I would say that this one's probably the most angry of all the Colossi. And I mean, we got the descriptor of the next foe is a guardian set loose, a closed-off city beyond the channel. It lusts for destruction, and yeah, it's definitely going to want to destroy things. It's a slightly terrifying fight in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I do really like the map for Shadow Colossus, because obviously you've got the symbols for all of the Colossi along the sides, and you can tell sort of roughly where a Colossi is going to be by where the mist is. I think I've mentioned this before, actually. It shows you sort of the fact that I've been doing this commentary over the course of a few weeks, and as usual with my short-term memory, although really would it be short-term or be that sort of mid-term memory, is a little bit rubbish. Like, you'd think I'd remember what I've talked about, but no, I never do. It's just one of those things. Yes, it's going to take us a little while to get to this next Colossi, just by virtue of, you know, it's quite far away, and also there's probably going to be lovely shrines and all that jazz, and you know how I feel about those shrines. I just want to make sure. And oh, there's a sort of proper full-on jump. Took me a while, but you know, we finally made it into doing like a proper jumpy dealio over something or other. But yes, thankfully, this part and the next part for the kind of penultimate, well, this is the anti-penultimate Colossi, i.e. the third to last. The next one will be the penultimate, and then obviously we have the final Colossi. And sort of the anti-penultimate and the penultimate are not too long in the grand scheme of things in terms of part lengths. I think what happened by this point in the game for me was I was still having a lot of fun, but I just thought the collector in me thinks, go out of your way, find all the shrines, find all of the lizards, all the fruits of life. Just do that and sort of make yourself proud. But the other part of me was just like, no, I just want to get to the end of the story now. Like, I've had a wonderful time, but I think just making that, like, rushing towards into the finale just made more sense for me in terms of doing a playthrough, but also how the story's going, because obviously we've got people coming after us, and we need to get to the end, defeat all the Colossi, otherwise Mono is going to remain dead forever, and we can't allow that to happen. And yeah, I did really struggle to find the location of the next Colossi. it's quite easy to get lost on your way to it. And I think that's why sort of my journey phase for this particular part is longer than it probably would have been otherwise, because I was just like, yeah, I have absolutely no idea where I am going. I mean, it's roughly in the right direction, as you can see by the map, but I have to kind of, I think, loop on myself, because you can see I was effectively just trying to ignore that shrine, but then it was just like, oh, I have gone the wrong way. So since I'm here, I might as well get the blooming lizard and the saved shrine and all that jazz. But I wasn't very happy about finding it, because it was just like, oh, I just wanted to find the Colossi and kill it. Because I was slightly terrified of this one, because I knew how aggressive it was. And it was one of those things where I was like, I know that there's a pseudo-puzzle element, and it's all about platforming. And I just got very nervous going into this fight, because I thought, well, I've done so well on everyone bar Dirge. I want to kind of keep up that momentum, but yeah, I did just get that wee bit nervous going into it, and also, you know, once again, dealing with bloody lizards, because they just piss me off. They really do. Oh, I see you there, you little blighter. I do like it when they decide to stay still for long enough for me to fire arrows into them, because that's what they deserve for the amount of faff they can cause. Yeah, aggro, it doesn't help when, you know, you run into a rock. Like, I've praised your pathfinding in this game, but yeah, that's not one of those instances where you've done well, look. And, not another shrine. Please say I've already found this one. Oh no, actually, is that a shrine? Oh, I don't think it is. Good, it's just a wall. That is fine by me. I see structures like that and just think, oh god, it's a shrine. Don't make me go collect bloody lizards. Like I think I've started to develop a hatred for those lizards. Which pretty much says to me in my mind, if I ever decide to replay through Shadow of the Colossus, I'm never getting all of those lizards. They can go to hell, for all I care. Which is probably not the best way to go about it, but still! If they're annoying blighters, then they can just bugger off. I ain't got time anymore for blooming time sinks like them. What I do have time for, however, is the fact that we are in the location of our next Colossi. We just have to go through this tunnel, and we will be in pretty much the right location, I think. But yeah, aggro ain't gonna come any further with us, because don't think she can swim too well, bless her, so she's just like, nope, I'm just going to stay here, have a drink, have a bit of a break, because you've been working as proper hard, mate, so I mean, I suppose it makes sense. She has been a damn good horse this entire game. She deserves a break every now and again. But yeah, just through here is the battlefield for our next Colossi. And while we immediately get to see most Colossi, we actually have to do a little bit of kind of walking and manoeuvring to find our next one, because we got a glimpse of where it's at, but we've actually got to run up to it in this location before, you know, it'll actually decide to attack us. But once it does decide to attack us, yeah, it's proper gonna go crazy at us. And yeah, I got a little bit confused here as to where I was meant to go, because I was just like, what direction am I going in again? It's also that whole thing of I was just terrified of going into this fight because of what I knew about the Colossi. Turns out, it's actually not that bad. But in my head, I was sort of bigging it up to be a lot more terrifying than it actually was. And I believe, yes, our Colossi is just ahead of us. And you can see I was just like, right, prepare yourself, steel yourself for this fight, because you're gonna need it. This is Cenobia. And yeah, Cenobia is going to proper charge at you, and is pretty terrifying in the grand scheme of things. She can't... well, I think it's... is it a she or a he? Let's have a look. Yeah, she. So, she doesn't really... she can be very aggressive, and she will be, but she likes to kind of chase you down and ram into you. And if you get to these pillars, then she'll kind of try and knock them down to get you off. But actually, that's how you are meant to progress this fight, because obviously her back is covered. So, well, it's armoured, so we can't actually do anything to hurt her right now, and we need to break that armour. But the thing that I do find hilarious is that she can't attack us when we're on those sort of fallen pillars. And it's just like, Doc, you could try a little bit harder there, because I'm not that high up. But yes, Cenobia is sort of seen as being very similar to Celosia. Same size roughly, same aggressiveness. Dormin also describes both of them as a guardian set loose, but Dormin also uses the line "it lusts for destruction," which is used for both Cenobia and Barba. So Cenobia's ended up with this sort of mixing of two separate Colossi descriptions there, which is quite interesting. One of the things that I didn't actually know is that there is a Shadow of the Colossus official art book, which is awesome, but Cenobia is stated to be a Cerberus. Obviously, like its namesake, it plays the role of a guardian, but the title of Cerberus may also refer to it being somewhat dog-like in terms of its physique and movement, as well as its aggressiveness towards intruders. The only difference is that Cenobia has one head, while Cerberus has, obviously, 3. But that's fine. In terms of its size, it's about 11 foot tall, or 3.4 metres tall, and about 18 foot / 5.5 metres long, which makes it roughly the same size as an adult African elephant. So it is quite big, but it's still the shortest Colossi in the game. You get some pretty awesome music throughout it, because you get a closed off city, liberated guardian, and then once, you know, we've shattered that armour, we're going to get a despair-filled farewell, which will be quite fun. But yes, Zenobia as a word, it's Greek, which works out quite nicely if it's meant to be sort of a Cerberus type creature, and ow. That didn't quite go to plan, and that is terrifyingly close to Zenobia, and thankfully Zenobia is, you know, letting me get up, because I think otherwise would not end well for Wonder here. He'd be pretty dead. But hey, so yes, Zenobia means stranger, and obviously Zenobia really doesn't like strangers, so it kind of makes sense. There's also the potential that it comes from the Spanish born of Zeus. I say the stranger one is probably a bit more accurate, but still. Its Latin name is Cladet Canda, which translates directly to Destruction Luster, which is what its designation is as well. So it's sort of like Shining Destruction in a way, which I think the destruction element makes a lot more sense than the shining bit. But Zenobia is strange in that obviously she's very aggressive, but there's sort of a puzzle-like element to it, because it's all about, well, how can I get Zenobia to a point where I can actually destroy her armour? And there's also the odd thing of sometimes she just loses... So it sort of loses track of you, but then also she just stops caring, I suppose. Which is a bit of a weird one. And then also you get to this bit and you just think, right, how do I go about progressing from here? Because I think part of me was just like, well, do I need to get her to ram into this to get it to collapse on top of Zenobia? And I mean, I suppose Dormin kind of suggests that you have to keep going, but then I was just like, but wait, which way is this gonna fall? Surely I've got to use this thing? And yeah, I just got really, really confused. Largely because it had been a while since, you know, I'd actually watched the game and watched this fight. But no, yeah, you do need to stand on this structure and get Zenobia to attack you, because then that'll shatter the wall, and then it's a bit of a terrifying run to progress through that. Because then it's a case of climb, 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 climb! Because Zenobia will be coming for you. And obviously will try to kill you, but sort of once you're up here, you're pretty safe. You've just got to, you know, get Zenobia to come and attack, because there's like a pillar that goes beneath here, which is what you've got to get Zenobia to attack in order to bring the ground on top of her. But once again, I got a little bit confused until I saw the pillar and I was just like, oh, I think I've got it now. I think also what my guide was telling me started to make a little bit more sense. Although she still seemed very, very tentative about actually attacking me. But yes, once you shatter that platform on her back, her armour will be destroyed. And then is the time to launch our attack. And she basically becomes very much like Celosia in that instance, in that it's just a case of getting on top of her back, which is slightly easier said than done, but it's a bit easier than when we took on Celosia, because you can get onto this slightly raised platform that Zenobia can't actually get up, and then just jump onto her from here. And then it's just a case of getting those stabs in wherever possible. And just sticking out this rodeo, because she's going to run. And she's going to run throughout this entire arena. So you've really got to get your stabs in wherever possible, because yeah, she ain't going to stick around for you to just plunge that sword into her. And I mean, I thought she'd stick in that sort of main area for a while, but then, you know, she kind of surprised me, because she's going to properly start to sprint in a second. And there we go, and I probably should have turned the camera around, because I'm probably going to get blindsided by a couple of walls at some point. Like there. I'm quite glad I was still holding the grab button, because clearly it's an interesting moment. The nice thing, and the thing that I didn't realise, is that you can sort of trick Zenobia into ramming into other pillars that aren't going to kind of crash down, and that'll knock her out for a few seconds, giving you ample stabbing time. But yes, not long now, and I'm pretty sure she should be defeated. And there we go. Zenobia is no more.